Hi, I'm Ryan Stewart, a developer evangelist for Adobe, and I want to show you an optimization technique you can use for building images into your list components with the Blackberry PlayBook SDK. So I've got here an application that I'm building, which is a beer recommendation service called Pintly at pintly.com, and essentially I have a list of beers that Pintly is recommending to me here on the left side. And as I scroll down, you can see that it's going to reload the images from Pintly's servers so that as I get new items, I get the refresh. But if I scroll backwards to lists that have already been loaded, you'll see that there's a slight delay there as it refreshes those extra images. That's kind of a pain, and it takes away from the polish that I want to have in my application. Luckily, one of my colleagues, Renan Erickson, talked to me about a way that you can create an image that will be specially cached in lists so you don't get that flash. So let's go take a look. Here's the code for that application here in Flash Builder, or that item render here in Flash Builder. And I've got my objects here. Some of the most important functions that I've got first in the constructor are where I will build those different UI elements. So I've got my image there, new image, my labels for my beer name, beer rating, that kind of thing. And then I've overridden the data setter here. So we're calling a special method on dataset that will go through and populate that particular item renderer with all the content for the image from the URL, the beer name, the brewer name, the style name. All this is coming from Pintly's APIs, so it's all being loaded remotely. And every time we scroll that list, it's going to refresh this beer cell renderer skin and give me the new image and the new label. If I want the image to not flash, I can use something called ImageCache, which comes with the QNX component set. So let me go ahead and create a private static variable here called cache object. And we'll give it a type of ImageCache. There's that QNX utils namespace. And then I'm going to instantiate it here right in the static constructor. So new ImageCache. And the image component that comes from QNX has a special cache property that we can use, and then by default, whenever the list is scrolling, it will first check that cache object to see if it's already been implemented or already had something in it, and if it does, it'll use that cached object instead of reloading the new object, which is what it does by default. So all we have to do here is go to image .cache, and we're going to set it as our static variable. So in this case, beer cell renderer skin dot cache object. That's going to force the list to check this cache object to make sure that we haven't already loaded this particular element. Now, one bad thing about using cache object, or one thing to be aware of, is that it can take up more memory as part of the application. Because if you have a long list, it's going to be storing all those images in that list in that cache object. So you want to make sure that you kind of use this with caution, or at least check to make sure that you're not going to be running out of memory or not causing a memory leak by using cache object. And you can also, if you want to, change some properties of cache object. You can see here we've got the ability to change the cache size, so how many images we're going to cache. We can clear the cache if we want to, or force it to clear. So there are some controls you can use to manage the cache, but if you want just basic functionality like I have, all you have to do is associate the image.cache property with the cache object that you've set up. So let's go ahead and test my application and see what the difference is. There we go, so Pintly device. I'll be testing this again in the emulator, so it'll take a second for it to load in the Blackberry emulator. There's the application. Let me log in quickly. So now we're going to pull that data from Pintly's APIs. There's my beer list. And as I scroll down, it'll still refresh on that screen because I'm still loading all the ones below it from a remote server. But the ones that I've already seen from the top, if I quickly scroll to those, you'll notice absolutely no reloading. They're using the images correctly, and I don't have that weird kind of white flash, which could be discombobulating for users. So hopefully that's a good look at how you can use a quick optimization technique for your application and make images and lists and cell renders just a little bit more polished as you're deploying Blackberry PlayBook applications. For more information, you can go check out Renan's blog at renan.com. And of course, the Blackberry developer site is a fantastic resource, including API docs, getting started tutorials, and everything else you could want to get started with the Blackberry PlayBook.